session.
No worries, man.
Started late, ran late. It's just how it goes. I end up being an hour 5 pretty much all my reviews. So all right, well, appreciate your patience. Looking forward to this one. So I'm not on stream, but this review will be recorded and posted publicly, so you will be able to check it out. I'll send you the link by tomorrow. Should be uploaded by tomorrow, so I'll have the link for you to go check out in case you want to take any notes. Right, so let me get this all pulled up here. Okay, so what got you interested in coaching?
So I've been kind of stuck for a while at the same level on DPS.
Okay.
I used to be scrimming quite a bit, but I kind of peaked out at around like 3,600, and then didn't play the role for a while, seriously. And I've been wanting to get back into it since I started support. And yeah, I feel like I've kind of like hit my, they say play more and it will get better. It stopped getting better.
Yeah. Just applying yourself has not been working. So you said you hit masters before on DPS.
Yeah.
When was that?
Way back in the day, I was a Junkrat one trick, hit 3,700, dropped back down to diamond for years, and then more recently, probably in the last 2 or 3 months, I hit DPS masters for the first time.
Okay.
Again. So that was mostly on flex DPS.
Okay, makes sense.
Tracer, Echo, Sombra.
Yeah. Makes sense. Okay, sounds good. So how long have you been playing the game, going back into Overwatch 1?
Since day 1. I pre-ordered it the day before, and I've been playing it since. So.
Okay, cool. Makes sense. And why? You said support as well at some point?
Yeah, so support's my main role. I was in support for years in organized play. Hit GM on that for the first time probably about a month and a half ago, and that was my goal. So I'm kind of happy leaving that there. So I decided to move on.
Okay.
To greener pastures, or less green pastures in this case.
Fair enough. Okay.
I get bored easily with roles, so I switch a lot.
Interesting. Why do you think that is? Just so much fun.
The amount of hours I put in, when you fall out of love with one aspect of the game, I like that I can just pick up a different aspect. So
yeah, there's a lot to it.
Go ahead.
No, I said there's a lot to it. The game.
Yeah, I like being well-rounded too, because I feel like I understand my role better if I know what it feels like to be in it. So I like to try to maintain the same level on all of my roles, and I was that before I hit GM and support. I used to be like 3,700 on all roles, and then I kind of grinded on a Brig, and that was my main thing. But
and how high did you peak? I forget what you said. How high did you peak with support?
It wasn't high at all. It just got like pretty much one game into GM5. So
okay, makes sense. What do you hope to get out of the session? You say there are 2 main reasons why I'm losing games right now. The first is when I'm playing okay, but consistently making mistakes that add up to me losing the game. I could use some help finding common themes in those mistakes. The second is when I'm playing out of my mind, when my team is struggling. I overheat and get into the hard carry mentality, which leads to making more mistakes. My Winston was hard feeding, but I knew the game was winnable if I don't make several key mistakes at several important moments. It's kind of on him, but if I could have done a few things different to win, even if it was really bad, taking this on me, especially if I want to be GM. Yeah, I mean, it's tricky because the way things work is, even within the MMR and the matchmaking system itself, you are going to experience natural fluctuations in your performance, even if you're playing the exact same. Because if you are the GM5 guy in a Masters 2 lobby, you know what I'm saying? If you are the GM5 guy in a GM3 lobby, you know what I'm saying? So it's going to be, you're going to feel like fluctuations. And I think there's like a little bit of an internal sense of entitlement. I know that I feel like this sometimes, where I'm performing well, and I feel like because of that, we should be winning the game. But the reality of the situation might be that the way the matchmaker has shifted things up, I might be expected to perform better than what I'm doing right now, if that makes sense. I mean, you could get into a bronze game and feel amazing, but yeah, it's a bronze game. So like, I think the way the matchmaker works is it tries to keep the SR of the players as close as it can, but obviously factoring in queue times as well. There are going to be games where you're playing bad, games where you're playing good, where you lose, when it depends on the matchmaker, depends on how you play. Always trying to play better though is the key thing. So for you, it's like, oh, I know I'm playing out of my mind. My team is struggling. I get this hard carry mentality. In those circumstances, you might just not realize that it's not even anything special that you're playing well. You're supposed to play well. Your opponents are masters. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the kind of thing that you have to kind of keep an eye on. Or if it's DPS, maybe your opponents are diamond or whatever. I think it's like focusing on whatever objective things, like you said, the first reason, what mistakes, common themes, that really is the only thing you should be trying to focus on whenever you can. And I know you know that, but doing that is obviously a lot harder than just saying it. Tracer Echo Sombra May. Pocket Hans open depends on the game whether I frag out or don't hit a shot all game. Now, I know you talked about how you pivot a lot from heroes and roles. So right now, why are those DPS appealing to you?
It's what I've always been good at. It's the only thing I've found success with, really.
Okay.
Because I used to play in tournaments. I played Flex DPS in a few tournaments, and we actually won one of them, and that was with me on Tracer. So
Okay.
that's where I'm most comfortable because I've actually had results that I can quantify. So I'm
Right.
like, okay, like I
Right.
can actually beat people that are this SR in an organized setting. Like,
Gives you a little bit of
so I kind of just
confidence.
stuck with it.
But you obviously performed well at it at the time. So what started the whole ball rolling? Do you have any guesses?
Uh, I really enjoy mobility. I really enjoy dive. Uh, yeah, I guess it was just kind of like enjoyment of the characters, and I tend to be more projectile uh, strength uh,
Okay.
and tracking strength. But yeah, I can't flick for the life of me. So
Okay.
I
Makes
think it was
sense.
just like my mechanics and my enjoyment and results,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
combo of those.
Yeah, stuff like that snowballs. You enjoy something, so you're good at it. You're good at it because you enjoy it, and build more confidence and so on. Okay, what are your long-term, short-term goals? I just hit Grandmaster in support for the first time in 7 years, so now I'm pivoting to my DPS goal. Where are you at with DPS right now? It says Masters 4 on the forum, but are you still there?
Yeah, so I was Masters 4 last night, and then I realized that I lost all my VODs from the patch update, so I played a ton more games to get VODs for today, and
Perfect,
I think I lost like 16 games.
perfect, perfect. Well, there's gonna be lots to
It
look
was
over.
not good, so I'm Diamond 1 right
Okay,
now.
okay, okay.
But I don't really care about that. Like,
Sure,
it's
makes
a
sense.
lot of the stuff that happened. Some of them I play bad. I don't care about the ones that I just like sucked at because I can't really learn too much from that. I care more about the ones that I like. I know the mistakes I made. Like, yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, looking for
There's some
competitive
unlucky
games.
games, some really bad games for me, and then some just close games that
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. How
I
often,
enjoy.
how long do you play? 10 to 15 hours. How is that generally split up in terms of like warm up, comp, all that kind of stuff?
Usually if I'm gonna play comp for any extended period of time, I'll do like some test games in quick play and to see am I on today. And if I'm not on, I typically don't play because I generally kind of care about my SR, but last night I didn't because I just wanted the VOD. So
Okay. Okay. Now, how does that usually go in the average day per week? Like the most day you
uh
play comp about 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 2 days a week.
I'd say probably 3 days a week, maybe fit in like an hour or two on a weeknight or two, and then I'll do like maybe, 4 hours, like more of a grind on a weekend.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. Okay. And then how do you spend the rest of your time? Like, let's say you just don't feel it in your quick play test games. Then what?
I just play Comp Mr. Heroes or something.
Okay, just screw around. Okay, makes sense.
I play other stuff just to have fun because I'm like, well, I'm not going to perform at the level I need to win the games I need to. So
Right. Right. Okay. And then what do you do for warm up?
warm up, if there's like a try hard FFA available, I'll do that in queue usually. But usually it would just be like quick play to warm up, and then
Sure.
yeah,
Sure.
FFA in queue.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, so let's talk about your approach here. So the optimal way to improve is to play competitive, right? Optimal way to improve. It's because it's the most competitive because of the fact that you're going to be playing. The matchmaker is going to be a little bit pickier than it will be with quick play. People are going to be trying a little bit harder. And you're going to be getting more frequent play time rather than, okay, I play an attack round and quick play and then I re-queue and then I'm going to start all over again. It's like the rounds are longer. You play attack and defense. Now, the thing that you have to aim for with competitive is you have to understand that it is practice. It is not about winning or losing. And this is why. Because in Overwatch, unlike real sports, when you lose a game, there isn't any really downtime, right? You lose a game, you re-queue. That's how it works. So that in combination with the fact that Overwatch does not have any way to really drill skills besides just playing the game. Now I know we have these hero mastery nonsense that's coming on behind the scenes. Where I mean, did you see some of the stuff they're showing with the hero mastery? It was
I can't wait for the
hilarious.
Mercy one
I
personally.
did. That was hilarious. Like the
Brutal.
Rhine one, like walking sideways with the bot behind your shield. I'm like, this isn't real, right? There isn't any way to practice besides playing the game, and there isn't any better way to practice besides an environment where people are really trying their hardest, and that is competitive. So, my problem with your mindset, all right, I know some people that tilt queue on days where they're not playing well, and they just grind ranked grind. They refuse to care. They just go, and they're like, look at me, I'm so proud of myself, I don't care about my SR. That's stupid. Okay. Then there's other people that go to the opposite end of the spectrum, and I know this used to be me, and this sounds at least to a little bit this is you, where you put your SR, your rank, on a pedestal at least most of the time, and you're scared to touch it unless you're in a perfect condition. It's like you visit your grandma and she's like, that's an antique guitar, you got to wash your hands before you play it. You kind of know what I'm saying? But if that was the only guitar that you had, I would get real old. That's the only this is how you practice. You can't go into it, and unless I'm performing at X level, I'm not allowed to practice. Imagine thinking about that.
Yeah.
That really puts you in a back foot here, because you're reducing the total amount of practice time that you're getting, which is ironically going to prevent you from climbing.
Yeah.
So if you really cared about your rank, you would care a lot more about investing time into the rank and being more willing to lose stuff in the short term at the benefit of your long-term growth. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And my time available also has reinforced that too, because like I do work full time, so I
Right.
don't have a whole lot of time. So
Right.
that kind of also encourages me to like
You got to
care
be
more
efficient
about
with
it
it, right?
because I have less time to dedicate to it. But yeah, if
Exactly.
I actually want to improve, you're right.
Exactly. So if you want to improve, be more willing to lose that. Now, like I said, there is an extreme opposite as well, which you have to be careful about. If you are upset, tilted, frustrated, annoyed, very, very tired, don't play ranked. But the reason why you don't play ranked is because you shouldn't be practicing when you're in that mindset, because it's not productive practice, right?
Yeah.
You should, if you're going to do anything, play for fun or do something else. So all you need to ask yourself is not, am I playing well, but am I in the right mindset for practice? You could be missing every single shot as whatever, fill in the blank, every single pulse bomb. But if you're actively in an relatively neutral or positive mindset, and you have something specific that you're working on, it doesn't matter if you lose every game if it was productive. That's the key thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So
that was probably the most frustrating thing about last night was that like I'm the kind of person that I don't stop playing if I'm playing well. If I'm playing like trash and I'm not learning anything, I'm just like grinding. I don't play. But like
right.
I keep playing until I stop playing well. And so when I do that, that's where it gets to me sometimes. I usually have a pretty good mental, but
right. But see, the thing is like what's playing well? Is it I'm getting good stats, or I feel like I'm hitting shots? Because even that's not necessarily good practice either. Right? Like if you go into a game where like, oh, I'm hitting a lot of shots, that's fine. But how focused were you at fill in the blank skill? How focused were you? Not how well were you playing, but how focused were you? That's the question you need to be asking yourself.
yeah, I guess for me, I can fall into that trap easier because I do know the expectations of my role in organized play. And so I'm like, oh, I'm doing this, which works in organized play, but doesn't work in ranked. And so I'm getting bad practice for ranked and
right,
good practice
right.
which I'm not doing.
Because you could be like, Tracer, my job is to control an off angle and put pressure out. But that's not what you needed to be working on that game. It was more like your recall management, or like, tracking an enemy threat, or taking in a better off angle. Like you could be like, oh, I'm doing my job, but doing your job is not that's not how you approach practice.
Yeah,
like you need
I guess that's why I'm here,
right?
I don't know what I should be working on because I'm so ingrained with like organized play coaching. I'm
sure.
like, wait, what do I actually need to like improve individually?
Makes total sense. So we'll have something specific, a couple of specific things that you can work on, and that's how you judge your overall practice. Now, there's other things that I recommend to keep that focus in. Sleep is really important. You're definitely a little bit on the lower end of sleep, so it's going to be a little bit harder to keep the focus practice in there. I do recommend having a good 5-10 minute warm-up routine. I would not recommend quick play for warm-up as much. I'd recommend, like you said, try hard if it's available, unranked if it's available. If it's not available, honestly, even Vaxta for just 5-10 minutes is fine too. I recommend taking short breaks between queues. You talked about doing deathmatch between queues. I would generally avoid that, actually. I would actually try to get up away from your computer during queue, even if it's just for 1 minute. Put away a dish, slap yourself upside the face, do a couple jumping jacks, whatever you need to do, just to keep the focus. It's how they like talk about how like when you're in between sets at the gym, generally you shouldn't be exercising, and generally you shouldn't be looking at your phone. You should be trying to do something that like kind of like relaxes you, distracts you. You don't want to be fatiguing yourself mentally, and you don't want to be fatiguing yourself physically. And unfortunately, deathmatch, while it is extra little bit mechanics practice, it's going to be taking away the intensity that you need for the next game, if that makes sense.
Cool.
So little detail. What do you feel is holding you back from improving? First off, do you have any questions so far?
I think that pretty much adds up from what you said so far.
Okay, a lot of details, but pick some of those things that are going to stick with you and work on improving those. I think just any benefit can come. All nothing but good things can come from a little bit of improving on your schedule. Just little details, right? It doesn't have to be everything at once. Just small details. What do you feel holding you back from improving? Hit scan aim is tragic. Hero pool is pretty limited by that. To be honest with you, mate, you're playing Tracer, playing Echo, Sombra, Mei. Like that should cover everything, to be honest. Tracer is so flexible in of herself. Echo is fairly flexible. Sombra, Mei, definitely more niche heroes, but they can cover some of the weaknesses of those characters. You shouldn't feel like you have gaps in your hero pool. If you want to improve your hit scan because you want to play hit scan, then you should play hit scan and get better at hit scan. Right? So then don't worry about it. And I don't think that's like holding you back from improving. Tracer is the most OTP-able character in the entire game. So I think you're probably fine. Projectile aim is slightly above average. If they have a Tor plus killer hit scan, I pretty much am stuck on Mei or Hanzo, which is not ideal. I mean, maybe. Like for example, like Torb is definitely annoying as Tracer, but like it's not really a Tracer counter, right? And even something like a Tor plus killer hit scan, like Echo can still work around hit scan, right? Like she can work very easily around hit scan, and she does very well versus Torb. So it's like, is it a soft counter? Yes and no. But you picking Tracer is a soft counter to their killer hit scan, right? You picking Echo is a soft counter to their killer Torb, right? So like, why are you the one that's feeling bullied? You know what I'm saying? Just because you're counting one of their characters, they're counting one of yours. Then just play better.
Usually it's like when I'm on Tracer, I run into like a pocketed like Torb plus Soldier plus like Moira Brig or something, and it's just like I can't get anywhere near them. So usually I go Echo in that situation.
Right.
But sometimes I just like I feel like I can't get any kills because there's so much sustain.
Right.
And I don't know what to play for if I don't get kills, because I play more of an assassin style in Echo, which I know is not very like conducive to like really taking advantage of what you can do.
Yeah, and that's the key thing. That's when people feel like they're being countered. I've worked with Doomfist players and some ball players who have the same thing. Like they pick Sombra, I can't play the game. Well, it's like can't play the game necessarily the way that you want to be playing. At least, and it's like that level of impatience and lack of flexibility that creates that rock paper scissors feeling. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to play the game in a crappy, unfun way. It just means you need to make slight adjustments, and that might be something that on Tracer and Echo you're not very good at. Okay. General awareness is okay, but I'm actually oblivious to the kill feed if I'm focused on anything else. I'm sometimes just hard feed because I didn't notice we lost her on at the start of the fight, or we're down to when I commit. You're gonna notice something. We're gonna talk a lot about like mental habits today, where I will teach you some things, I'm sure, but I'm also just going to give you a list of things that you need to be practicing, like psychological habits that like when this happens I do this, or before this happens I do this, right? Kill feed awareness is one of them, right? They have the audio cues, which you could use to start if you would like. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh yeah, I have that turned on.
Okay, and you still struggle with the kill feed.
Yeah.
Oh, you're next level. Okay, you're gonna be an extra challenge. Here's what you need to do. You need to learn programming if you don't already, and have like something that like have like one of those like boxing gloves strapped to like a spring, and every time one of your teammates dies, it punches you right in the jaw. That might work. Now, but really, I think like having some sort of application of what I would call so the 2-fight rule is something that I talk about, where for the first 2 fights of every game you focus on something like the kill feed, which I highly doubt you'd be able to keep awareness up for an entire game. Even if you were trying, you'd probably forget. That's okay. Focus on it for the first 2 fights, right?
Cool.
Focus on it for the first 2 fights. Keep doing that. Do that for a week. Take a break. Do it for another week. Take a break. Probably give yourself 3, 4, 5 weeks. You'll probably be 10%, 20% more aware than you are right now. It's hard because it's clearly a habit that you've developed from years and years and years of play that's never really been broken. So it's going to take some time to improve. But I think giving it some intense focused practice, even if it's just for a couple of fights, is probably going to be useful for you. So whenever you find that you have a habit you have a really hard time breaking, give it that level of like short bursts of intensity at the start of games can be very helpful. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And put on a sticky note, throw it in your monitor, and during your between games break, remind yourself, hey, 2 fights, just 2 fights, focus on the kill feed, only 2 fights. All right. Mental is usually good. I do tend to keep queuing when I'm playing well. We talked about that. Even if I'm losing like 4 or 5 in a row, a little stubborn in that regard. I don't think it has, again, it's never about like whether you're winning or whether you're losing or whether you're playing well, or whether you're not playing well. It's only about like, am I still practicing? If you're losing 4 or 5 in a row and you keep playing because you're still like focused and you're still practicing, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You know? So be stubborn if you feel that you're practicing well. That's the only thing you should be stubborn about.
Cool.
That would be the way I would look at it. Anything additional? Like, what's one trick junk right at 3700, but I'm recording now. Listen. Listen. Hey, let's see if I can... Wait. Let me see if I can find something.
My history with junk and old Doom is probably why I struggle on Echo a little bit, because I'm used to like Doom's old cooldown cycle of like going in, getting a kill, getting out. I feel like Echo is the same thing in my head for some reason.
So you might see my statistics here. And the worst part about this, you're like, oh, it's not that big, right? You know, but this is in deathmatch, and this is when there was no fall off in concussive mines, and this is in like, I'm not even joking. This was like a week, 2 weeks of play. This is like back in 2018, you know, 2017. Mm-hmm. I was a demon in the unranked deathmatch lobbies. You know, I was a bad man in Chateau Gaud, so that's all I'm saying. Okay, I don't really have any other questions for you. Do you have any questions for me?
Well, you'd mentioned earlier if there's anything like else that I have noticed is the problem, and I noticed just watching back the VOD today that I do tend to like, when I hard commit onto like a really important target, sometimes I will just like fight them in the open and hope no one looks at me. So like I've noticed that's something that if I see a win condition, I know we lose the fight unless I kill this Mercy, like I will hard commit to the point of probably dying.
I see what you're saying. Let me put it this way. I think this might be a little bit of a hot take, but I am not as concerned about what happens mid-fight so much as I'm concerned about what happens pre-fight. The nature of Overwatch's design is that it's just extremely chaotic once fights break out. So everybody makes goof up mistakes in the middle of the fights. The question is did you set yourself up for success before the fight started when you had the brainwaves to actually do so? You kind of see what I'm saying? So if you're like, oh, I kind of tunnel mid-fight, whether it's forgetting the kill feed or I forget about my positioning mid-fight, I'm not super happy with that, but I'm not as concerned as you might think. I'm more concerned about what are you doing before the fight starts, you know, when you have that time.
Game plan, and does it suck?
Right. Put yourself in the perfect situation and then pull the trigger. And if you completely fumble it from there, yeah, maybe it's something that we look at, but a lot of people don't even put themselves in the proper position. And I guarantee that's probably something that you should be working at as well. We'll take a look. If you have any questions, just let me know. I do like to ask a lot of questions during the review. So, you know, I might even ask questions you don't know the answer to. That's fine. I'm asking the question because I want you to think about it, not necessarily because I expect an answer. What is Tracer good at?
Taking unexpected angles, collapsing with other mobile targets to knock people out unexpectedly, I guess.
Sure.
Open angles.
Sure, absolutely. How good are you at a 1v1 versus Genji? In an unranked deathmatch, just you and Genji, who wins that 1v1 most of the time?
I feel like it's pretty 50-50.
Okay. What if I introduce the concept of health packs to you? Who wins that 1v1?
Well, yeah, I mean, that changes everything. If it's like a raw 1v1, then yeah, I think it's 50-50. If there's a health pack, I think I have a better chance because I can get to it two more ways than he can.
What about Ashe?
Ashe I struggle with. Just because I feel like, for me, target reacquisition is more of a weakness. So when I turn around after blinking past her, I feel like she turns around a little bit faster and one-taps me pretty often.
Interesting.
I do struggle versus Ashe. I think it's somewhat a psychological thing too, because I know she can one-tap me, and so I'm playing a little more scared.
Interesting. What about Widowmaker?
Widow, I'm really comfortable against. Especially in this case, I wouldn't usually go for a spawn camp, but I see my ball like staging above me, and so I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense. Let's take a look.
Jumping in front of him is one of the decisions of all time.
That'll do it.
And then my ball does a silly.
Now this is kind of interesting. You take this angle here. Obviously spawn camp, whatever, ball kind of ends, and so on. Alright, we're out. Now, your first priority, as soon as you can get like back to a reasonable health position, is to retake your position, right? But then now that this has gotten really complicated, it's not so simple to know where that position is, right? Because you talk about choice of picking about unexpected angles, and I would agree with you, but I don't necessarily think that even necessarily needs to be unexpected, and I think you'd agree, right? So for you here, it's like, well, where could you go? Give me 3 options. Give me 3 options. Where could you go?
Yeah, well, right now I'm just thinking we just lost our tank, so I'm not gonna get picked. So I'm just thinking I'm gonna get healed up, and then probably I was just gonna go and build pulse bomb while we draw back, because I feel like we're gonna die if we just try to take this fight up here. So I could just contest cart. That's where I could go.
Sure.
If I wanted to be
Now keep in mind their Widow's dead too. So yes, contest cart. This is an angle. Control this position off from split from the main fight. Okay. Where else could you go?
I could go and flank right side, I guess, by my Ash, but I don't really like that spot a whole lot.
Not great. It's an option though. Where else could you go? This one is more of a
access to the second high ground.
Yeah, this one is more of like a anticipating where the fight is going to shift to, if that makes any sense. Because you could probably, like you said, guess your team is going to press the S key.
Yeah, I mean, I could try to catch some of the people over aggressing. I think that's what I end up doing.
And where would you be for that?
By my Kiriko and trying to like peel
sure.
them as they back up, because I know I can get out faster than
right. Wrapping this angle here as well. Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's keep going. But see, as soon as you get the opportunity to, right, this is fine. The only problem here is that as your team has walked backwards, you have walked forwards. There's nothing wrong with holding this angle here. But what's the potential issue with what you're doing right now? Why?
I figure I can get out pretty easily if I need to, so I'm playing a little bit aggressive, but I'm wanting to see if I can like at least give a health deficit to the Winstons to force them to back up to give us a little more time. But yeah.
Sure.
I'm gonna lose my recall probably.
Then that's it, right? Everything has a cost, because you're like, oh well, I'm getting a good trade here. I got bubble out. Well, that's honestly the Winston's an idiot for using his bubble here, respectfully. But even if he did use his bubble here, like he did, right? Great job. Well, that didn't come for free, right? You had to go ahead, and now that your ball is in, and now that we're actually fighting here, you're dead.
And to die.
Even if you don't die here. Oh, I should have reacted faster. Okay, whatever. Recall. Blink out. You're out. Where are you now? You know? Would you blink back to your team? Would you blink out this way? Doesn't really matter. Either way, you're out of the fight when your ball is in. You kind of see what I'm saying? You're creating a seesaw. You don't want a seesaw. You want a jackhammer, right? It wants everything at the same time if possible. So once you take this position here, you got 2 options. You could either be like, I'm confident that they can't touch me here, so I'm just going to hold this angle here and shoot and shoot and shoot. Works for me, right? Then when do you go in hyper aggro? When does that happen?
Once there's distraction.
Once there's a distraction. Once there's either my Ashe coach comes to top, my Kiriko takes space, my ball is in a position to dive. You're the one leading the charge here. You're the one tanking. And so then by the time your ball actually gets there, congratulations, you allowed your ball to engage easier. But your ball doesn't need your help to do that, right? You need his help to do that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you're the one with the teeth. He's the one with the big clunky, bottom that doesn't really do anything. Like really, like look at that. Like besides Widow, your ball's not gonna be able to really kill anything. He needs you to kill people. So he's the enabler, you're the executioner. Does that make sense?
So I should have just staged.
Yeah, I think it's just staged. I mean, the thing is, you already were staged, right? You were already in a very, very reasonable angle, and honestly could have kept poking the Winston if you wanted to. Nice stall. Probably didn't need to touch with your ball and cart. It's always scary with like, these objective things. You're always like, I know my ball's gonna leave. I just know it. Okay. Yeah, see, I don't have a problem with this. I don't think I have any major problems with this. Overall playstyle was fine. The only thing I will say is if we look at the micro a little bit more in detail here. Once your ball comes back, target's fine, You should be really careful about taking this aggressive a position with only 1 blink and with no recall, right?
Yeah.
Other detail to kind of point out here as well is once you pick this target, your movement is very static. I want you to go to this Kiriko's point of view. So she's shooting Hanzo here. But as soon as she locks in you, check out your movement and the speed. Suzu and right here. You see, you are moving. But here's what I would throw in as well. As you strafe, consider throwing in a crouch or two as well.
Okay.
And then in addition, if you find this Kiriko this far away, you have two options. You either assassinate and finish her, which you go for that, or you hold the angle and shoot. I think what you did is fine. The only thing I would add here, finally on top of all these little details, is this pulse bomb. Not necessary.
Yeah.
Right? If you're going to pulse bomb and you're already on top of them, just throw the pulse bomb. The only time you blink pulse is when you need to close the distance and just walking forward isn't safe. Looking at your screen right now, is there any reason to blink instead of just walk and pulse?
I guess I'm anticipating being like whip shot and dashed and like kunai like.
Right, but
if I don't have pulse now, I'm probably gonna die.
No, I agree. It has to be very soon, but you need to actually look at what's on your screen. Genji's not looking at you. Brigitte is not looking at you. Use the pulse bomb. You got me.
You know what happened with this specifically? My monkey brain saw Suzy. I'm like, ooh, pulse, 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 and I just thought nothing but pulse. And then Kiriko TP'd away. I turned around to find Kiriko. She wasn't there, so I pulsed anyway.
And you just see your red blur, right? And you just like smash it at there. Okay, yeah, that's tough. I mean,
I should have just saved it, honestly.
Right.
If I didn't see the Kiriko.
Right. Sometimes you have to be like, it sounds super stupid, but you have to have like, you have to really like use your eyes. I have this problem when I'm working sometimes with like mid-rank diva players that really struggle with on a sleep dart. They're like, how do I eat sleep dart? She just sleeps me every time I dive her. I'm like, look at her. You can see her. Like she's going to pull the sleep dart out, right? Like it's not that complicated, right? And I think sometimes like especially when you're playing these hyper-mobile characters, when things start to get chaotic, we talked about this earlier, you kind of like brain goes fuzzy, monkey brain, you know? Don't do that. Maintain focus, and maintain focus at that specific thing that you're practicing.
And that's where having thousands of hours in this game is actually a downside for me, is that sometimes I will just burn recall being scared that something is going to happen because something has happened so many times to me before when nothing was even threatened. Like,
right.
Oh, this person's about to one-shot me when they didn't even hit me yet.
Right. Recall. Right. Now, if that Genji if that Brigitte was looking at you, then that justifies you going for the blink pulse. But obviously the scenarios that you're creating in your head, those scenarios aren't being met. Like the brig isn't even looking at you, and you're not even aware of it.
Yeah, I don't use my eyes very well.
Right. It is, and we talked about that. Nice clip. It is really hard to do that, but you know, the skill you got to develop. He sees you, but it doesn't really take advantage away of the flank. You can still get value here. This is fine.
Here, Widow Hook. I think I took that. This is a terrible use of blinks.
I mean, I just think you get a little overeager, right? If you hear folks up here, let them screw around. At some point, they're gonna have to walk forward. That's when you pincer from behind, right? I just think you get a little impatient. That's all. Another little detail here. I know you're in a rush, but you don't have to start shooting right now. Put your crosshair on her head, you know? She's not gonna be able to react. She's cooked. In fact, the rush there is what actually ends up letting her live, right? Relax. Oh, there you go. Look at that. Oh, it's kind of, we talked about that with the Ashe, yeah? Getting lost in the sauce in the 180. I think you're actually on her head. Yeah. You know. Tracer, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. I mean, it's alright. The pressure is still good value, right? You know, she's distracted. Not a good pulse bomb. Because I know you're under panic here, right? When should you pulse bomb a Winston?
when they're killable and
Right.
don't have primal.
Right. I mean, the primals, I mean, I can live with that. I mean, it's definitely like a more advanced thing, but I doubt that we're at the point where we can be like ult tracking right now. I wouldn't worry about it. But I will say, he's got too much armor, right? If you shot, I legitimately like 60, 70 more damage into this guy, like not even that much, just a little bit more, this pulse works.
I was a main support for 3 years. The ult tracking is not the problem for me. It's
Okay.
remembering not to, you know.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. And also, if you were gonna pulse bomb this guy, how would you do it? You pulse, right?
And then follow up damage.
Keep shooting, right? Keep shooting. Don't back out, because you back out of the bubble, I think obviously to worry about the rally, but keep shooting as much as you can. Or even just shoot a little first, then pulse. I mean, obviously it's risky regardless with the rally, but still. Yeah, I think we can agree that.
I think I need to stop pulsing when I'm out of blinks.
I think the reason that you're pulsing when you're out of blinks is you don't plan it out ahead of time.
Yeah.
I think it becomes more of a mid-fight panic thing. Like even here, you just used your last blink here. Whatever you do right now, you're not gonna be able to do it very aggressively, right? You kind of need to be on the back foot right now. You know what I'm saying? I know you're like, let's push, let's push, let's push. I'm stopping the widow, but you don't even have a blink yet. So as soon as you blink here, you need to be at a trigger, like a hair trigger away from just immediately recalling away. Now, obviously you didn't see Winston. It's a little bit unlucky, but what I'm noticing is that you seem to get lost in the sauce a lot, is the best way I would put it. As soon as things get a little bit chaotic, you completely fall to pieces. And that kind of lines up with our kill feed discussion earlier, right? Like right now, you're coming back to the fight, you see Winston, right? You see Widow. Winston drops. What's the play?
Probably contest Widow so I don't get shot chasing the Winston or
right.
drop to a point
Exactly.
See me.
Exactly. You can also kind of use your spidey senses here and probably predict this Winston's going to get healed. Right? Like, I don't know that he's 100% killable, right? So, where would you go?
I probably should either double blink over to the Widow or just blink left and contest, like, that side. Or I could
Works for me.
Be aggressive and, like, go to an angle she can't see me.
Works for me. But instead, you know?
We do that.
We go in.
And I burn.
We go in. We go in. There's the recall. And not only that, but the uncontested Widow at that same point in time is then able to pop off. You know, the funny thing is even if you were to go for Winston here, how would you go for him?
I don't see a situation where that works out, personally.
Okay. Here's a question. What if you blinked out this way and dropped and shot from this angle here?
I think if I had done that and checked, I would have seen there's a Brig triple packing him and I just wouldn't have done it. So I probably should have checked that angle first, to be honest.
I guess my point is even if you do go for the Winston, let's not, you know, jump into the middle of the pile, I guess. Yeah. You know, create some sort of a split where things are less chaotic. So I feel like for you, part of your problem is the chaos and your response to it. Part of your problem is you're creating chaos by positioning yourself poorly. Yeah. You're making things more stressful. You're going in first. You're putting yourself in the middle of the enemy team. You're not managing your blinks well. And so it's like, okay, yes, you need to learn to take a deep breath, but can we also create a better position for you that's not going to feel so stressful? And I think the answer is yes. I think both, we can look at this from both sides of the coin. Okay, well, that's one way to win a fight. Tanking Tracer, distracting the enemy team. Okay, reset up. But see, it's like what? Just go back and do it again, you know? Just do it again, you know? Or go this way. It's like, hey, you know, this is cool. I can do this. Ah, no.
I'm glad you said it that way, because usually that's how I think of it, is, oh, I'm going to create chaos, but that's also creating chaos for me, and that's good.
Right, and that's how you get punished, because you every time you do anything as Tracer, you're on a knife edge, right? Of immediate and instant and painful death, right? You have 150 HP. So you need to be thinking, I guess the way I would put it is you need to be more like cerebral about it, I guess. Be more like calculated with how you're handling things. Don't create chaos, by the way that the enemy team should feel stressed. You should not, in the way that you're positioning things. Set up an angle, get everything in your sight lines, be patient, time it well, and just generate pressure. And that kind of lines in with your Echo thing too, where you're saying like, I go for this assassination playstyle. But what if you can't one-shot something? Do you just dive bomb anyway? Go, you know, like gums flapping straight into the wind? You know what I'm saying? Like, no. Please don't. Like even here, I know there's infocytes. So what should you do?
Wait, is this is impercent for that? Okay, we don't have widow.
Mm-hmm.
I should probably not blink into the center of their team.
Right. So maybe, you know what I'm saying? Jiggle peek, right? Bait a shot, triple blink over as soon as you bait the shot. You get what I'm saying? Like, you play games with her, right? Play games with her. Is there another angle that I can take where the widow can't see me? Maybe you could blink across through here, drop to here. Like, look to hide and distract. Maybe set up later for the widow. I guess it's like, you know, this is okay here, maybe. But this, a little scary, right? It's a good pulse bomb, and you did it after you saw Suzu. But just be careful. Just be careful. You don't have to go for, you don't have to make a pop-off play like that for you to get value as Tracer. It's not necessary.
Yeah.
You can if you'd like to. That one made sense because at the very least you saw Suzu and you're like, oh, I can get there in time. I can't really contest the widow because she has infocyte, whatever. Even if that wasn't necessarily true. But too many times we've seen us go for the most chaotic, most creative, clever, crazy play. Like even right now, right? No blinks, no recall. You're smoking something here, mate. Like, you're crazy to go for this. This is insanity. If they look at you, you're dead. I promise you. You're dead. Or you have to get out completely. What should you do instead here?
I mean, I could just chill, to be honest.
Sure. Just wait. Just hide. Quiet. You have to understand, I don't have the resources to distract, to pressure. I need to wait. Wait. Now we go. Hang on. Easy peasy. Good. Now you know that you're probably going to lose your tank here. So just play your life. You got to kill. That's all that matters. Now, but the irony here is, check this out. Watch this. What should you do here?
I actually don't know.
Do you have a good angle here?
Well, I was planning on blinking to an angle that's safer since I'm in the open right now.
Well, maybe, but what do you mean you're in the open here? Check this out.
I'm giving up high ground.
Right, you're giving up high ground, and honestly, the high ground is the cover that you need versus these guys. No, like what are you worried about, quote unquote, being in the open versus right now?
Yeah, because I just killed Widow.
You know, so this is the assassin right now. I see a Winston with no bubble, with no armor, jumping towards me. I will welcome him with open arms, right? I will shoot him, I will blink out, I will shoot him, I will force primal by myself. You got me?
Yeah. I think my mindset in this was I spent so much time dueling the Widow because I like missed shots and recalled that I felt like we were losing the fight and I had to like get a kill to save it because I felt like we were about to get capped on.
Right.
I didn't even notice the objective not being anywhere close to being
well,
capped.
but even that doesn't really matter. That's your instincts being respectfully weak. So 1 for 1, right? 1 for 1. And who won that 1v1? You. And who's now actually contributing to the team fight right now? Yeah. You. This is a fight. Now, I get it. You know, oh, we still lost this fight. Yeah, you want to know why you guys lost this fight or are struggling right now? Because they used Kiriko Blade and you guys had nothing. Yeah. Right? That's why. This fight is still winnable. Even if, you're like, oh, I feel like I have to do something. I feel like I have to. No, it has nothing. No, you're fine. Hold the advantage. If you were gonna win this fight, it's not gonna be from you all inning on the Lucio at full HP with no recall. How are we gonna win this fight?
Making consistently smart plays.
Making consistent smart plays. Right, putting out pressure, shooting the Winston, force the primal. If you see the Lucio low, int, go for it. But this is just like, why? Like, right? You make this so much harder on yourself than you needed to. I guess. Nice tracking, nice kill. He fumbled up his positioning. But you honestly, you probably, I wouldn't say you should have died, because I don't think you would have died, but he should have gotten away, and then you're sitting there with the egg all over your face, doing nothing, right? That's the problem. And even now, this still feels really stressful because you're positioned where?
I mean, just opposite from my team.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't even say opposite from your team. Let's put it this way. You positioned not after you blinked out, but right now, where are you, I guess, is the kind of, see what I'm saying?
In every sight line.
Right. In the middle of the fight. I mean, look at where you're at, right? You're not spectating, you're not shepherding, you're not on an angle, you're not flanking, you're not shooting the Winston bubble from high ground. You are inside the Winston bubble. And I think that's something that you got to keep an eye on. When you have a good angle, don't necessarily, or a good position, don't feel the need to immediately blink in and assassinate somebody immediately, I think is the takeaway. Hold the position, do damage.
I need to lower my draw aggro priority list to like the bottom of all existence.
Right, I think it's like blinking in to finish a kill is great. But there's an analogy that Awkward uses in his Unranked Jams, and he talks about like jabs versus crosses, right? All you throw are haymakers. All you throw are crosses. Big punch, and you die for it, and you die for it, and you die for it. And then you get a one clip, whoa, you know? But the idea is that you really only go for a cross or a big punch when?
When you know you can hit it.
Well, I wouldn't even say that, because who's to say if you don't know if you can hit it, right? You got to limit test a little bit, right? When should you throw a big punch?
When it's smart too.
Sure. And this is not a very easy question to answer. I would phrase it this way, okay? Go for the punch when you see an opportunity that makes sense. When you see a full HP Lucio, a blink or two blink distance away, nothing about that screams, hey, this guy should die, right? Especially when I don't have my recall, right? That's not even a favorable 1v1, you know what I'm saying? Much less an easy kill, right? So, I think that's kind of and when you give up and the reason why Awkward says that is because it's all about, you know, being able to make plays when you can make plays. And I agree with him. But I would add on top of that my own little personal bit of Overwatch 2 philosophy, which is it's about the space you give up when you do plays like that too, right? Yeah. When you lose the angle, lose the sight line. And then for your particular example, when you create chaos visually by getting too close, right? Think about how many times have you been inside of a Winston bubble or in the middle of the enemy team so far, right? Many times. And a lot of those have cost you your death, right? So it's not just about seeing reasonable opportunities. It's also about seeing the space, what you're losing by going in. Because when you go for a cross, when you throw a big punch in a fight, right? You don't necessarily have the firmest of bases, right? You're not defensively ready to take a punch. You're throwing the punch. So you better have a good reason for it. Like right now, if you fail on this clip, you will recall and lose all your resources, right? You kind of see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
I don't recall after getting the kill.
Right, but you knew that and you didn't care because you're like, it's Widow, she's half, I got this. Right? Makes sense. But if this was a Lucio, you'd be an idiot. right? This is worth the risk of losing the angle, of losing space and losing resources because you think that you can get it. Okay, let's keep going. Do you have any questions so far?
I honestly, that adds up so far. As like I'm even seeing parallels to other games of like in Smash I played Jigglypuff going for rests and Ganon going for Warlock punches. So I mean this all just, you know. Okay, good. I feel like I'm gonna need more fights to like really cement it into something actionable for you. I think we're more like talking theory here, right? Yeah. So I would like to convert this into something that you can actually like think about or do in game, but we'll get there. I think the big thing is I want to look at is I want to see if you're chasing low risk or high risk, low reward plays too often. If you're not paying attention to timing because you feel like I just need to get in there and start smashing people in the face. And if you're positioning, if you're giving up good off angles to chase kills, I think are like the three little details I want to see. Let's keep watching here. Unfortunate. Okay. Yeah, because even this, like, I think this is more of an accident than it is
a calculated decision. Because I'm looking at your screen and I'm just thinking, yeah, let's go kill this brig, right? But wait, stop. When should you do this? If you're gonna go for backline, okay, I'm fine. Why? What are you waiting for?
Pile driver.
Right. I mean, not even pile driver, just anything, right? Anything. The ball's not even on your screen. I honestly don't even know that you knew that he was going in. Maybe you did. Do you remember this game?
Yeah, this was like today. So I remember I knew my ball was on that side, but I was just kind of going in and trying to like stop the Widow from looking at my team essentially.
Right. It's kind of funny because again, you're tanking, right? Like you're the one taking the whip shot here. But like honestly, like as somebody who's played a little bit of ball, I would rather my tracer not take whip shot, and I will take it. You know what I'm saying? Like I know it might be kind of annoying with my grapple, but like we really need you in there finishing that Widowmaker. The ball is not going to kill it, you know. So this is where part of that chaos comes from, because you're so urgent to hit somebody in the mouth that you end up getting hit in the mouth back. Whereas if you let your ball go in a little earlier, let him take a little bit of the heat, you know, then you're going to be able to relax a lot more.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine. And again, there's a risk, right? That because again, I would say if I'm coaching an Overwatch League team, I'm saying guys, just force cart, push cart. There's no reason to force the dive on top unless we see a huge opportunity to. Okay, but I won't even go that far. If you want to go for a play like this, high risk, high reward, I'm alright with it. I get it. You're on an angle. That's fine. However, what circumstances need to be met? You know,
someone else to look at.
Somebody you need, and not even necessarily going with you, just doing something anywhere, right? Like if you guys like this Genji, if this Genji was like any lower in HP, and maybe the Brig walked forward, or maybe the Winston dove in, like that's good enough, right? The problem, like this is legit. Like you're totally on an island while the rest of your team is basically doing nothing. Like you got a Genji in spawn, right? Your ball's not even going up the stairs yet, so it's like. This is the problem. It's like there's the chaos, right? And even if you don't die for it, it's always opportunity cost, because anytime that your ball decides to take an engagement right now, for example, where are you?
With no recall, chilling on cart, dead.
And dead, right. And there's just an urgency, like an impatience that I think could be toned down a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And so when those crosses do come out, they result in kills. And not you being dead, right? It's not that you're playing too aggressive. It's that you're not earning that aggression with coordination, I think. I want you to play aggressive. I want you to limit test. I want you to make mistakes and feed. But even here, right? Is there anything else going on the battlefield right now? The answer is really no, not really, no. So this play, this blinking on top of on his head, love it. Go for it. With ball. With your Ryan walking forward and swinging on Winston, or your Cassidy taking it off angle and shooting, or you know your Sombra staged on the Widow and you go for a different target, or your Sigma turns the corner and starts to spam. You know, you're not always going to have a dive tank, but if your tank is shooting somebody or getting shot, that's a good time to go. Nothing is happening right now. You can't go for this.
Honestly, I think I should have, if I was going to drop, I should have just like blinked behind them back to like
sure
left right now.
Yeah,
just,
and yeah,
be on a scare that I exist.
Sure, and then honestly, you're in a better position to stage for your cross next fight, right? Or for what immediately comes afterwards, right? And if you are going to cross here, I'd probably go for the Widow as well. But again, it kind of comes back to that urgency thing, where sometimes it's not just the fact that you're going in too early; it's because you're in such a rush. Sometimes you miss an even better cross that was available.
Yeah.
Because again, it's like, well, is it any surprise that you have 3 or 4 people looking at you? No. And then your ball, you know, as usual, goes in immediately after you. It's like ships passing in the night. Again, it's you, recall, and there's your ball. I mean, you see it, right?
Yep, it's literally like we're on a metronome.
Yeah.
And he's like 3 seconds after me every single fight.
Yeah, it happens.
Or rather, I'm 3 seconds before him every single fight.
And then and what always ends up happening too is because you're early, you're late too, you know? Like now, like you need to be in right now with your Genji, with your ball, but you're not. And so then by the time you're in, your Genji's dead, or your Moira's dead, your Genji is essentially dead, and your ball is actually now on the way out again.
Yeah.
No, actually, your ball is
a
on the way
huge thing.
But yeah, the timing is, I would say the timing is definitely what's making things more chaotic than they are. That's probably the lowest, most actionable thing that you can be doing. But I also just think the psychology of feeling the need to force as well is important.
Yeah. I definitely do feel the most stressed out on the DPS role of the three, because I played them all extensively.
Yeah, for sure. Check it out. Ball makes Widow drop. Widow gets slammed. Widow grapple. There's nade. There's grapple. The Widow's one. Guess who's not getting healed right now? Winston. Guess who's not getting healed right now? Genji, you guys might actually kill 2 of those characters or force primal. Yep, there's one. Oh man, just wait, because he'll be back very soon. You know, good ball cycles are really fast. Oh, you know what? Screw it. You're diving with your Mercy. Let's go. She's rolling in. Let's go.
We actually get this kill. Oh no, we don't. Never mind.
And then now your ball's in, but now you're out. Oh my days. Like, look at this. Like, look. Imagine if you guys just synced. How long is this? You guys have been taking turns. Oh my days. Yeah, and then little detail here where it's like post recall. Your first priority is to survive, and I just don't think you had an escape plan planned out. But yeah, I think you just like overextend. Let's keep going. Oh no, you guys won't win this disaster.
Nope. We do not cap.
Disaster. Overextended. See, he's doing the same thing you were doing. He wants it, you know? He's got an ult for it too, right?
And I have 150.
Look at that, look at that. And look at that, total waste of a primal rage. Total waste, right?
Yeah.
I wonder why he's not paying attention. You see that?
Yep.
You're the assassin. You're the executioner. That's your job, right? So you talk about this assassination playstyle. If you time your assassination playstyle on time, or even a teeny bit late, you're going to be butchering people, right? Perfect timing. Anyway, next fight. I jinxed you. My bad. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But no, but that was like unironically like good. I mean, obviously, like coming back from spawn, didn't know where Widow was. It happens, but like I think that's like a good example. Okay, we got time to do. Well, you said you had to go at 20, so let's keep going. Let's do a little bit more. You got time? You got 10 more minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we can only do a few team fights, but that's okay.
You can skip to the next round because my Genji play is something I do not want to improve on.
Okay.
I play him for memes.
Got it.
And for fun, but I'm not good at him.
Okay. Okay. Again, dive tank, Reaper as well. Definitely something that you can exploit. You guys kind of all feed off of each other, right? So like right now, you're on point. A little bit of damage, a little distraction. That's then going to force Life Weaver back. In theory, this is a 1v1 you should win. That enables your Winston Reaper to walk forward a little bit more safely. And this is all fine. Pharah falls back. You disengage. I would have continued to blink and just grab the health back, literally to their spawn. And you're thinking like, oh man, I'm gonna be out for a little bit while. But look at the blue and look at the red.
Yeah.
And then look at the blue and look at the red. You see this? This is you. You did a good job here. So just don't die here, because that would be a shame. Because they've turned 3 or 4. Live. Yep, it's fine. Detail. Once you're here, just Soldier 76. Shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot. When they turn attention to you, blink. So you're kind of going for the blink melee here, but he was too high in HP. And honestly, it's just not even necessary. Just keep putting out pressure. Remember, the melee, blink melee is an execute, right? So if there's not somebody to execute, don't use the blink. Some exceptions to that rule, but for the most part. Nice job. Again. Reaper. Winston. You see, this is not perfect timing, but there is, like, you are creating chaos at a pretty opportune time right now, right? So, this is fine. Now, I don't love this. You tell me, where should you go?
I could have backed up and taken high ground through the other ramp.
Go through this way. You can also wrap into their spawn and assault from this way. I mean, you had a nice angle, right? You kind of gave it up because you're getting chased, but remember, we already saw how that went earlier. You run away, you waste their time. I think you're honestly fine. And so then you're bullied out, and now these supports are being chilling while Genji's chasing you, which is like not terrible, but it's not the best return of resources, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if you have a good angle, hold the angle.
I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah. She's just too high in HP. Your Winston and Reaper are out. You need to be really careful. You see this? You see, you know, by the way, you notice that like I did not need to press right click to know that. I just knew it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the skill you need to build. That's the skill you need to build. You need to, through your eyes, your ears, through literally turning around and looking through the walls, you need to know this. You're either gonna die here or you're gonna recall forced. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. But while you're waiting for downtime, what could you be doing instead?
Wait, while I'm waiting for what?
While you're waiting for, I guess, excuse me, your Winston Reaper, what could you do instead?
I could be taking like high ground.
Yeah. Wrap here, right? Sneak. Genji comes to mark you. You can take the duel. If not, you're able to wrap around, sneaky, get it for a better angle in the backline. It happens. I mean, if they spend a lot of time marking you, it's hard. But obviously, like now that the fight started, this is tough. You kind of feel how this doesn't feel super comfy. Feels like you're in a little bit in the heat of the battle, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just tickling everybody's least favorite tie support in the butt cheeks. That's going to be a lot more impact in terms of pulling that mercy away, doing this kind of stuff, right? Nice. Woo. Nice. You're good to go. All right. Nice job. And then again, positioning, right? Where should you be?
Probably on the side of one of the doors to catch someone coming out.
Nice and quiet. Just wait. And then you see Winston, Reaper, or you hear somebody pushing you. That's your cue to go. Winston's in. You can peek a little bit. A little bit risky, just because I can tell you, like, this is what they're going to do every time, right? Don't forget they get 50 armor, but the big thing is, like, the reduced damage from the pulse, right? While they're in turret form. So, not a great pulse on. Target is fine, but you need him to actually walk forward and commit to the fight first. Because even if he does pop his turret form, there at least will be follow-up there, if that makes sense. Yeah. And you'll get, you know, either res or you'll get life drip, and either one of those is fine.
Oh wow, he still had like 75. I didn't realize it was that bad.
Yeah. It's fine. Just don't die for it.
I don't know why he's not even remotely trying to look at me, but I'll take it.
Get him. Woo, nice. Okay. Okay.
And here I almost died because I thought I was gonna like get help, and I did not get help.
Yeah. I think it's because your team is chasing Genji. Yeah, your team is chasing Genji in spawn. And then you blinked past the cover where they couldn't see you. And so they're like frantically running forward. But yeah, okay. Let's stop it.
Sweet.
Let's make some actionable stuff for you on Tracer. So we talked a lot about like some training structure adjustments, reminding yourself that like it's more about your ability to focus and not about your ability to perform when it comes to good practice, good ranked play, right? Not feeling like I'm going to lose the just play. If you feel that like you would enjoy playing, play for fun. If you want to practice though, you're playing more for the practice itself, whether you're winning or losing games, right?
Yeah.
So for Tracer specifically, specific aspects, ignoring the general stuff, what do you feel you need to practice specifically?
I feel like a lot of it's a mentality thing of what I feel like the pressure to do, of like, oh, we lost someone, or we're losing, or you know, they're ulting, like I need to do something, when really I need to play smart. So yeah, I feel like that affects a lot of things. Like that affects my timing, that affects my pulse bomb usage, that affects my blink usage, how aggressive I'm playing. I think I just need to like take a chill pill and like just kind of take an angle and just hold it and like just existing being the pressure instead of killing them being the pressure.
Taking an angle, timing that pressure, choosing good targets, and adjust how you play, how aggressive you play, depending on the status of your cooldowns, right? So no blinks, no recall, adjust. Lots of blinks, lots of recalls, adjust, if that makes sense. Okay.
And saving them for when my team is doing something.
Right.
Instead
Timing,
of to do something.
pressure with your team, dive or not, is crucial. That was by far the biggest thing. I'm trying to think if there's anything else major that I saw. There's a lot of little details, but that was the big one. What about you? Did anything come up with you?
What do you mean by that?
Like, we talked about timing. We talked about your mentality. Is there any other details that you think you need to improve on with your tracer?
I feel like I still am in the open quite a bit, which forces my blinks. So I feel like I could plan better of like where I'm going to go, and then if it goes wrong / when it goes wrong, where I'm going after that. So
Sure.
I don't know.
Sure.
I feel like I find myself in the open way too much and in the middle of things too much. So I guess just playing a bit more fringe.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay. Do you have any questions?
Honestly, I don't. I think we covered everything just in discussion. So
okay, sounds
really
good.